Hello and greetings to everyone, and welcome to another live segment with West Kentucky Community and Technical College. I am Dr. Anton Reece. I have the privilege of serving as president of West Kentucky Community and Technical College. I bring you greetings on behalf of the WKCTC family, which includes the 8,500 students who come to our college with the thoughts of either transferring and or getting directly to work. To the parents and new students, this is indeed a big decision. And I wanted to point out, and you'll be hearing more about the reasons you need to come to West Kentucky Community Technical College. Those reasons do include affordability, attention, and top quality education. Let me pause for a moment to explain what I mean by top quality education. WKCTC serves in a unique distinction as being ranked for the 5th time among the top 10 colleges. There are 1,000 community and technical colleges across this nation, and we've been privileged to serve, and to receive this recognition nationally. So you can absolutely believe that we have top-notch quality here at West Kentucky. To our current students, if you're joining in with us, we commend you for continuing your education with us. And certainly, as we say so often, continue to be confident that you've got this. I'm indeed looking forward to our discussion about safety, fall classes, course delivery. And with that, I will now turn it over to our host, Mary Beth.
Thank you so much, Dr. Reece. And hello, my name is Mary Beth, and I am from the marketing office at WKCTC, and I'll be your host today for this question and answer session with Dr. Reece and his leadership team. We will be talking today about the Healthy at WKCTC safety plan and class delivery options for the fall semester. So again, if you are a current student, a prospective student, maybe you're a family member who has questions, we would love to see your comments in the live chat. If you do ask a question today, you will be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card, and we will announce a winner at the end of the segment. So get your questions in. In addition to Dr. Reece today, other members of his leadership team joining us today who are going to be answering your questions are going to be Bridget Cantor, Kate Sin, and Octavia Lawrence. Welcome, everyone. Wow. So I do want to remind our viewers that we are live. This is not pre-recorded, and you can start typing your questions to us now. Okay, so let's introduce everyone. Bridget, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. I'm Bridget Cantor. I am the Vice President of Business Affairs and Human Resources. I am also serving as the West Kentucky Community and Technical College Healthy at Work Officer.
Thanks, Bridget. Kate, you are next.
Good morning. I'm Kate Sin, the Director of Online Learning and the Interim Associate Vice President of Academic Affairs.
Thank you, Kate. And Octavia.
Good morning. My name is Octavia Lawrence, and I am Associate Dean of Student Services here at West Kentucky, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. And so let's jump right into the questions, and I'm going to start with Kate. So, Kate, the first question that I have, will fall classes be on campus?
Yes. As we go into the fall, we're kind of doing a three-pronged approach. We have in-person classes, hybrid classes, and online classes. A hybrid class is a class that is 50% in person and 50% online. I already see that there's one question in the chat that asks about those hands-on classes, such as welding, that don't translate well into online classes. That's one of the reasons why we're going with the multiple approaches. You should be hearing from your instructors, each one of your instructors this week, in terms of any changes or just to welcome you into the classes that start next week.
Great. Thank you, Kate. My next question is probably going to be for Bridget or Dr. Reece, and that is, do I have to wear a mask?
Yes, we are requiring that students wear masks. It is a very, very important part of our three-pronged approach to fostering safety here at the college. There are some exceptions, which we'll be talking about maybe as the conversation goes on regarding individuals who may have some specific medical exemptions as well. But yes, we are requiring that all students, faculty and staff do wear masks.
Thank you, Dr. Reece. And so that's a great segue. So our next question is, what if I do have a medical condition that makes it difficult for me to wear a mask? Octavia?
Yes. If you have a medical condition that requires a mask exemption or a face covering exemption, we ask that you please contact myself at octavia.lawrence@kctcs.edu. And I will follow up with you. We will have an interactive process and talk about reasonable accommodations for your request.
Thanks, Octavia. And I know that a lot of people out there are concerned with safety, and so our next few questions are regarding safety. So these are going to probably be for Bridget or Dr. Reece. First question is, how will you go about cleaning areas on campus and how often?
I'll toss that to Bridget. Thanks.
Okay. So our M&O staff, which consists of our custodial and maintenance staff on campus, have been diligently at work since March when we first went to remote learning and remote working from home as well. So they have stepped up all of their deep cleaning efforts. So they will do deep cleaning at least twice a day in high traffic areas, such as, in high touch areas. So things like light switches, door handles, all of those sorts of things. They will be more frequently doing those throughout the course of the day. In all of the classrooms, office areas, and throughout campus, you will see disinfectant wipes and disinfectant spray that's available for students, visitors, employees, to all be able to wipe down surfaces yourselves as you enter classrooms or office areas as well. So there's a lot of deep cleaning that's happening across campus. M&O has also purchased, the college has purchased some large disinfectant fogging machines. So in the event that we need to go into a larger classroom setting, they will have the ability to utilize that fogging machine to be able to provide that disinfectant to a larger surface area more quickly.
Great. Thanks so much, Bridget. And, about social distancing with classes, what are our plans to maintain social distancing within the classroom?
So every classroom this summer, we have gone in and out of just about, actually every classroom on campus with tape measures and have looked at the capacity of each room. So every classroom, office area has been, whether we've taken seating out of various classrooms or we have just rearranged classrooms. In some places we have put up plexiglass barriers to be able to ensure that 6-foot social distancing will be practiced and will be enforced within our classroom settings.
Okay, so do you know how many students can be in one classroom at the same time, or does that just vary from classroom to classroom?
It is going to vary from classroom to classroom, but outside of every classroom, outside of every office area, there's a capacity sign that has been posted that tells what the maximum capacity while practicing social distancing will be for that particular room. Academics has worked very hard to schedule and to arrange classes so that way we're not exceeding that maximum capacity in any of our classrooms. In some cases that meant that we might have perhaps had to move a class to a larger location to be able to provide the classes that we needed with the number of students that we have registered. So in every classroom, every office area, there is a capacity signage outside of those rooms.
Okay, great. So what about a student who may not have a mask? Is a student required to bring their own personal mask to campus?
Students are not required. Certainly, if you have your own and want to bring your own, we encourage you to do that. But we do have masks available on campus. So if you come to campus and do not have a mask, they will be available in classrooms. They will be available if you are in a particular building and there is an administrative assistant in that area. They will have a supply of masks in various offices throughout campus. There will be masks available, so you can certainly stop in and pick one up if you don't have one with you.
Okay, so what about the type of mask? What about wearing a bandana or some other face covering?
That's completely acceptable as long as your mouth and your nose are covered. It doesn't have to be an actual mask per se. A cloth face covering will work as long as your nose and your mouth are covered.
Great. Thanks so much, Bridget. At this time, I'm going to swing over to Tom and ask if there are any comments in the live chat. Tom, you're on mute.
You'd think I would remember that, but of course not. We have several comments. A couple of them, and I'll try to address them in a lump. There's still confusion over whether we are going to have in-person classes, and with the governor's announcement that he's recommending some schools don't start until September. What is West Kentucky's plan regarding those issues? And I'll do those first, and then I'll come back and we'll ask some others.
So, Kate, I'll ask Kate to pick up on this. So let me emphasize again, as Dr. Sen mentioned earlier, the three-pronged approach that we are using puts us in a position to be flexible and adaptable to also accommodate the governor's announcement yesterday. So his announcement basically, though, is about being virtual for some high schools through September. And certainly virtual is one of our three options. So let's have Kate just to restate those as to how we will be able to accommodate the governor's most recent announcement as well.
Okay. Among the things that West Kentucky examined this summer was the possibility of pushing back our start date. Pushing back the start date would have affected a number of different pieces, would have potentially limited the number of classes that a student could take within the semester. So our decision was to go with our three-pronged approach. Classes that are best taught in person, or ones like welding that can, for the most part, need a lot of that hands-on, will continue to meet a great deal in person, if not all of their scheduled time. We have classes that are hybrid, where it would be 50% online and 50% in person. And then we're continuing to offer those in-person classes.
All right. So there's the answer to that. And several people are still, they want to know that. So we may have to repeat that as people come on and off. But right now the plan is to start on Monday with our three-pronged approach, and making the adjustments as necessary during the semester.
And Tom, if I can, let's bring Octavia into the conversation real quickly, because part of this also involves the importance of connecting with advisors.
Yes. So yes, that's a very good point. I think that it's important for students, if you're thinking about, making changes or anything to your schedule, you can certainly reach out to the advising center. I'll give you both the number that you can call, which is 270-534-3216, or you can also email the advising office at wkctcadvising@kctcs.edu. That way, if you, dependent upon your situation, if you need to change classes, switch some things from in-person to online, you can talk to an advisor. And it's very important to have that conversation with an advisor as you're wanting to make changes and talk about your academic plan.
All right. And there's a wide range of questions, so I'll be looking through those. Here's a safety question from Marcy. Will there be something in place regarding attendance if you are running a fever, etc.?
Okay. I can go ahead and take that one, because within each one of the classes, attendance will be taken, but solely for the purpose of kind of that question of contact tracing. If you are sick, we want you to stay home. And so attendance will not factor into your grade for the class. You'll need to be in touch with your instructor, make sure that you can catch up on anything that was covered in class. But attendance has been addressed.
All right. Will there be a longer grace period to drop out of classes? We hope nobody has to, but that's a question that Irey has.
Kate or?
Okay. I would say that due to financial aid requirements and our established policies, the refund dates will not be adjusted. Okay. Students have up until midterm to drop without their instructor's permission. After midterm will be a discussion with your faculty member. So the longer grace period to drop out of classes, the date without the instructor's permission is not going to change, but I encourage you that if something happens in the back half of the semester, you be in communication with your faculty member.
All right. I'm just looking through here at the ones that that really have to do with safety and that people are concerned about. Let's see. Is there a possibility we will do just strictly online if students start testing positive for COVID?
So I will bring Bridget in. As mentioned, she is our Healthy at Work Director, and she works very closely with our local health department. Bridget?
So the short answer to that is it's always a possibility, but frankly, right now, we just don't know. So in the event that we do start to have positive cases, we will be working in conjunction, hand in hand with the local health department, and we really rely on their guidance in terms of what our next steps should be. So in some cases, that may be that they say to us, we just need to close a certain space on campus. In other cases, it may be that they say we have to shut down an entire building. So it really is going to be looked at on a case-by-case basis by the health department. We are also always in contact with all of our sister colleges throughout the KCTCS system and our system office in Versailles, keeping them up to date on what's happening on our local college campuses. And we'll obviously, have them weigh in on any decisions that might be made as it relates to going to complete remote instruction.
All right, and there are several questions, Bridget, that are related. I just want to give you a chance to reiterate those kind of things. If a student has to be quarantined, will instructors let people know? How will that be communicated? There are several related questions on those kind of things. I think you addressed most of those now. Is there anything else other than we're going to follow health department and state guidelines that our students need to know?
Well, the other thing that I would say to you as students as you're coming onto campus, we have talked with this over and over with our employees, is as it relates to contact tracing. So our employees they have to, as employees, keep a log of anyone that they are within 6 feet for longer than 30 minutes at one time. And so they keep the name and contact information for those individuals. So as students, I would encourage you that if you find yourself in a position where you are within 6 feet of someone for longer than 30 minutes, that you have, that individual's name at a bare minimum. So that way, in the event that, something were to occur with regards to a positive test, that if the health department reached out to you, that you would be able to tell them who you have been in close contact with. And then the health department really does take it from there in terms of contacting individuals and making that recommendation of whether you need to quarantine or what your next steps should be.
All right.
Okay, and then to answer this student's question also about will faculty members, will they be ready to accommodate if someone needs to quarantine for a week? That is among the things that faculty members are planning for, is that if you do need to miss a class, you get in touch with the faculty member and there's a plan to kind of help fill in that gap so that you can continue in class.
Okay, just a couple more and then we'll get back to the other questions that you have. If people miss lectures due to illness, will classes be recorded and uploaded to Blackboard?
Okay, not all lectures will be we don't have the capabilities to record all of our in-person lectures, but as I mentioned a moment ago, faculty members are prepared to post information up to Blackboard to help fill in that gap for missing the lectures.
All right, Mary Beth, why don't we go ahead and ask some other questions right now? We'll be monitoring the chat, and there are several people that are monitoring it with us. So there's some questions about scholarships and things like that the people that are monitoring the chat will be answering in the chat. So if you have a question that didn't get answered during that, please refer back to the chat, and we may have those answers for you. And we'll come back with some other questions a little bit later on.
Thanks, Tom. And thanks to all our employees who are monitoring the chat on Facebook and YouTube. We really appreciate that. So Octavia, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit and I'm going to come over to you. And this is about fall classes. So can you just let everybody know when fall classes start and how they need to make an appointment with an advisor or with the advising center and admissions to register for classes?
So we have actually several start times, but a bulk of our classes begin on Monday the 17th. We do have some classes that begin on the following the 24th and some that begin on the 31st. So we do have options for students to be able to get into classes. And I think that's important because I know Monday is nearing. And so there are opportunities for you to get in classes beyond Monday. Just keep that in mind. If you're wanting to meet with someone, we have in-person options. We also have virtual options so that you can talk to someone about being enrolled in classes. You can contact the advising office. Again, that number is 270-534-3216. And if someone, I think, monitoring the chat, if you could put in the information about how to be able to set up an appointment with an advisor. And we also have the advising email, which is available at wkctcadvising@kctcs.edu. And so there are several ways for you to get in contact with an advisor, to be able to help with schedule changes, to be able to enroll in classes. It is not too late. Please come, and we hope to see you this semester.
Yes, it is not too late. And I do know that there are some extended hours this week. So, you know, be on the lookout for that. We are going to be open until 6 o'clock this week to help you with your scheduling. Okay, so I'm going to go over to Kate now, and I'm going to ask, actually, I'm going to ask everybody to mute their mics if they're not Kate, because I'm getting a little bit of an echo, so that would be great. And Kate, for those of us who can't wear face masks but have hybrid classes, is there a way to go completely online? And before you answer that, if there's anybody who is just joining us and is not familiar with the term hybrid class, would you just briefly touch on hybrid class and then answer that question?
Certainly. A hybrid class is one that meets basically 50% in person and 50% online. So for example, if your class was scheduled as a Monday, Wednesday class, based upon your last name, you would come either on Monday or Wednesday. So it's in many ways the best of both worlds, in person and online. So in terms of that ability to switch to completely online, if you know at this point that you're going to need to go online, you're not going to be able to come to campus. We do have online classes available for or online sections for many of our classes. So I encourage you to reach out to your advisor or the advising center in terms of being able to switch to online classes. So we
Great.
have seats available.
Very nice. Thank you, Kate. And what about if your classes are not showing online? What would you tell a student?
Faculty members turn on their classes, so occasionally they are not showing up at this point. They should be showing up by the end of the week, unless it's something called a Learn on Demand class. A Learn on Demand class, you can tell that one when you take a look at the section number and there's a V in it. All other classes should be showing up. If a class is not showing up on Blackboard, reach out to the faculty member or reach out to Online Learning and we'll help you find it.
Okay, and this question is regarding exams. So for online only classes, will any exams be in person on campus? Will I ever have to come to campus during the course of the semester?
Based upon the spring semester and kind of a little bit of the uncertainty that goes along with the fall, all of our online classes, if they are requiring a proctored exam, it can be taken remotely. The KCTCS, the statewide system that West Kentucky is part of, purchased something called Proctorio, which will be available in all of our classes free of charge to students for this semester, where you will be able to take those proctored exams at home. You can still, if you're an online student, you can come to campus. I want to mention that to use some of our resources, but proctoring will not be part of it.
Thank you, Kate. And I'm going to switch gears once again, and I'm going to go back to Bridget and Dr. Reece. Will students be responsible for cleaning their own specific classroom areas? Bridget, you're on mute.
Let's try that again. So yes, when students walk into a classroom, there will be disinfectant wipes and disinfectant spray that are right as you enter the door. Students are asked to pick up either the disinfectant wipe or the spray and wipe down their area where they will be sitting, their workspace, before they sit down.
Okay. What about like the amount of cleaning supplies we have? Do we have plenty of cleaning supplies to clean up the student areas?
We have lots of cleaning supplies. So our M&O individuals have been placing bulk orders to make sure that we have at least 3 times the supply needed on hand, and they are continuing to replenish those just to make sure that we keep that stock on hand, especially as we begin to see more traffic on campus.
Okay, what about areas that are much more trafficked, like vending machine areas or the student center, things like that? You know, how are those areas being cleaned?
So in large part, they're having the same types of cleaning protocols. So in those high traffic areas, they are being cleaned more frequently throughout the course of the day. But also keep in mind that some areas we have limited the space. So for instance, the student center, when you come onto campus, the student center is oftentimes, in terms of the governor's protocols, they think of that as a gathering space. So we have limited that actual space that will be able to be utilized by individuals while they are on campus. We have just recently opened the vending areas back up on campus, and there will be the same disinfectant wipes available there, as well as hand sanitizer for individuals to be able to use should you be using the vending areas.
Thank you so much. And guys, if you're just joining us, this is a Q&A with Dr. Reece and other members of leadership here at WKCTC. And if you ask a question today, you will be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card. So we are going to do our best to answer all of the questions that come in today regarding safety and the fall semester. So if you have any questions, be sure to type those in now. And at this point, I'm going to go back over to Tom and see if we have any other questions in the comment section.
We do. This question, Kate addressed going one way. What if we need to go all online? This particular student, Sarah, wants to know, what if our hybrid classes aren't working for us? Can we do more in person?
Due to physical distancing, we will be limited in terms of the number of students that can be on campus and in particular classes at a particular time. Throughout the semester, we are going to be continuously evaluating the class, and instructors will be looking for ways to kind of bridge that gap of any problems in terms of what is happening with online instruction. It may be that they record more lectures. It could be that they have more virtual office hours. It could be attempting to make it live meetings. We will not be switching such that you would be able to physically come onto campus more, but we are going to continue to take a look at these classes and make sure that we bridge that gap, if there is one.
All right. I'm just looking down the list. We have quite a lot. Let's see. If my Monday, Wednesday class is a hybrid class and I only have in-person class on Wednesday, will I have to do online instruction for that class on Monday?
Okay. For the online portion of the class, you can actually do that at other times. You'll have a time that you will be in class, in person, and then you will have assignments that are due at other points during the semester. Your faculty member will actually give you a schedule in terms of what you're expected to do throughout the week, what the in-person activities are and the online activities. So no, you won't be sitting at a computer at 8 o'clock on Monday morning, and then in person at 8 o'clock on Wednesday.
All right, another related one, is it possible to switch out of an in-person class to an online or hybrid? I think you may have addressed that earlier, but let's reiterate that one more time, please.
Okay, we continue to have seats available online for particular classes. When it comes to switching from a 100% in-person and a hybrid class, there are fewer opportunities to do that, because the classes that switch to hybrid fall into particular categories. Ones like our history classes, our psychology classes. Those may not be available in a 2-day-a-week format, but it may be possible to move from a hybrid to a online course.
All right. Is the library open to the public to study or to take our online classes while waiting between the in-person classes?
Okay, it's actually, go ahead. Was there someone else? Oh,
No.
Okay. The library is not open to the public, but it is open to students. And to kind of circle back in terms of the gathering spaces, it is limited space that would be available for study. But the library is also one of our key locations for open labs. So you would be able to go in there and work on your online classes between your in-person classes, and it will be available. Limited, but we have quite a few seats there.
All right. I think that is most of the, at least in general, the questions. If we didn't answer your question, either online in the chat or live with our panel here today, if you would post it again so that we see it and that somebody will address it, I think that will be, that'll work out good. So I think we're okay right here, Mary Beth. Thank you all.
Thank you, Tom. And I do want to remind everybody watching, if you have to leave, this video will be posted on Facebook after this live publishes, and it will also be on YouTube. So if you are a family member or a friend, if you need to go back and refer to this video, it will be available for you. Octavia, I'm going to go to you next. And this question is going to be, will food service be available on campus? So the Center Cafe or Kitchens Cafe, are those locations going to be available?
Those locations will be available. They will be abiding by the recommendations in terms of our Healthy at WKCTC, but they will be open to students, and students will not have to leave campus in order to receive food options. And then also we will have vending available on campus.
Okay, so what about the food pantry? Will the food pantry be available for our students?
Yes, the food pantry is available. The food pantry has been available to our students since early June, and so that continues to be available. And the great thing about that is you can contact Amy Elmore, who is over our campus cupboard, and it is amy.elmore@kctcs.edu, and you can contact her. She also has an electronic form available so that students can request a pickup time, and also just get with her in terms of their needs, and she will address those. So we do have that available for students, and we are very happy to have that service for our students.
Yeah, that is such a great resource. So I'm going to ask a biggie. So this one will be for Bridget and Dr. Reece, and I think that this is probably on a lot of people's minds. So what will the college do if a student or employee tests positive for COVID-19?
You're right, Mary Beth. It is a big question. And it's been asked by lots of employees of late as we have done our kickoffs with employees as they're coming back. And the first step is obviously going to be that we will notify the health department. We will have to take much of our guidance in terms of what our next steps will be from the health department. They will let us know whether we are, for instance, shutting down a classroom, whether we're shutting down an entire building. They will ask us questions in terms of, what was that classroom, if it's a student, set up like? So was everyone 6 feet apart at all times? Were they wearing masks at all times? Because that will then let them know what their next step will be in terms of contacting students and or employees that might have been in contact or, in close proximity to the individual that tests positive. So, it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. Honestly, we can't give you a blanket answer of, what is going to happen in every single case, other than we know that our first step will be to contact the health department and work hand in hand with them with regards to what our steps will be from there.
Okay. Octavia, will there be access to water fountains while I'm on campus?
Okay, this is a great question. We do currently, our water fountains are not available for student use or for public use, but we have plans to be able to have water fountains available at some point. But we would encourage students to use the vending that is available, and also to bring water with you while you're here on campus. And then we will be sharing information about places where you may be able to access water if, for instance, you forget your water or don't have access to it right away. We will work with you to make sure that you have that available to you.
Okay.
Just, Mary Beth, if I can add onto that as well. So we have just actually placed an order to have touchless water bottle filling stations available in every building. In some buildings, there will be more than one. So those are on order and will be hopefully arriving soon for us to be able to put into buildings, so that if students bring and employees bring their own water bottles, they will be able to refill those via a touchless system.
That's great. Great information. Thank you. Octavia, what is the WKCTC Student Code of Conduct, and what is the process if it is not followed?
So the Code of Student Conduct, it's twofold, but the most important part of it is that it lists the student's rights and responsibilities as being a student here at WKCTC and a student at KCTCS. So I encourage students to take the time to read that. It's a 40-page document, but it does outline what the student's rights and what the student's responsibilities are. And then it also just covers things such as our academic procedures in terms of academic conduct, as well as behavioral conduct, and how we should conduct ourselves here on this campus. And so if you have the time, I would encourage you to look at that. That is actually available on our website, and it lists the students' rights and responsibilities, and that is absolutely important for all of our students.
Okay. This next question might be for Kate. For the fall classes I have, can I come to class more than when I am scheduled to be there?
Okay. Due to physical distancing, we need for you to only come one of the days. If you are, actually, let me roll back a little bit. For our hybrid classes, you need to come one of the 2 days. In the next couple of days, you should be hearing from your faculty members. We do have some classes that are continuing to meet 2 or 3 times a week. There are certain programs that just don't lend themselves very well to online, and so those classes are continuing to meet their scheduled amount of time. Because of physical distancing, we need you to come only the scheduled or assigned amount of time. Be on the lookout for that email from your faculty.
Okay, so what about the library or possibly even computer labs, Kate? You know, what if a student has a class on one day and maybe wants to come to a lab on a different day? Are they allowed to do that? And is the library open to children? You know, can a student bring their children?
Okay. That's 2 separate questions. Students can come to classes to use our wraparound services. They can come to the library. They can come to use the open computer labs. These resources are available to you even on those days when you're not scheduled to be in class. Now, when it comes to children being on campus, I may loop in Bridget on this, but campus, while we are an open campus, we are limiting access to our own faculty, staff, and students this semester, just as through an abundance of caution.
Yes, thank you. So I think that this is going to be a question that a lot of people have as well. Maybe I'm in a building, but I'm really far away from other students or other employees. So the library, for example, that's a really big open space. So am I required to wear a mask when visiting the library or other resources on campus?
You are. So masks are required to be worn at all times. So whether you are 6 feet apart from someone or not. The only exception, as we've talked about before, is with regards to those individuals with medical documentation and conditions. But even then, we're going to try to come up with other resources and alternatives for you, so that way you're not just completely without a face covering at all. And then beyond that, I would say to you, if you are outside, so we've had the question that has been asked before about, you know, if I'm outside sitting in my car, do I have to have a mask on? The answer to that is no. But when you get out of your car and as you are walking towards a building, the point in which you are getting within 6 feet of that building or within 6 feet of an individual, you will need to make sure that you have a mask on.
Thank you so much, Bridget. At this point, I'm going to swing back over to Tom and see if he has any questions from the chat.
Actually, we do. There are several, but I think that what is concerning people most, Bridget, and I know you've gone over this in a couple of different ways, is what happens when and if and when somebody on campus is identified. And so I think it starts from overarching. If there's a person on campus, but they're not in my class, what's going to happen? And if there's a person in my class, what's going to happen? Will I be able to stop going to that class? Will I need to? So there is some concern, even though we think we've addressed it. we may not have addressed it clearly enough for everybody that's watching. So if you could just go over as much as you could about what the plan is for if and when somebody is found to be positive on campus.
So again, we will work hand in hand, and we will notify the health department first when we become knowledgeable of a positive case on our campus. So whether that's an employee or a student. The health department really does take the lead, and the college has to follow their guidance in terms of what will happen. So generally speaking, I've used the analogy a lot with our employees when we talk about, if you go into Walmart, well, chances are someone that has been in Walmart has probably tested positive, but you may not have been in contact with them. Therefore, you may never know whoever tested positive that was once in Walmart. So you very well, if you take that and translate that to us here at the college, if you are not in a classroom or in direct contact with the individual who does test positive, you very well may not be notified by the health department that there has been a positive case. But then again, they may tell us to notify. So we really don't know, because knock on wood, thus far, we haven't been put in that position, but we recognize that that is very likely that is going to happen. And we will just have to rely on the health department in terms of what our steps will be, whether we will, who we will notify, when we will notify people, whether we will be shutting down just a particular classroom, whether we would be shutting down a building, what that looks like. They will provide guidance to us, as well as us working with our system office in Versailles.
Okay, another related question that people are concerned about is anybody going to be taking our temperature? Or are we going to be asking the questions that sometimes people are getting used to when they go into hospitals and things like that? So are we going to be doing any of those things as well?
We will not be taking students' temperatures. Our employees do have to submit to a self-check, a daily self-check every time that they come to campus. Students should do the same, administer that self-check at home, but when they come to campus, no, we are not taking their temperature. Kate, do you want to speak to the syllabus quiz?
Certainly. Okay. On our syllabus, on the syllabus quiz, and at the beginning of each in-person class, we're going to repeat what we're calling the Healthy at West Kentucky Community and Technical College, WKCTC, kind of guidelines, where we talk about the shared responsibility when it comes to doing that temperature self-check before coming to campus, wearing the mask, keeping the social distancing, and taking advantage of the supplied cleaning materials. So we are taking it incredibly serious, the health and safety of our faculty, staff, and students. As I said, to the point that we're going to be repeating it at the beginning of each class.
Let me see if there's any others at the moment that we need to address immediately. This student has a similar concern, one of my favorite students ever. She was in my speech class. And she wants to know, can I change if I'm in an in-person class and somebody tests positive and I get scared, can I change to taking a virtual class?
Okay. When you sign up for a class at the beginning of the semester, it is a hybrid or a online class. Our faculty members have started to think about how to handle situations like yours. But if at this point you are concerned about being in a classroom with other students, I encourage you to reach out to your advisor and see if we can get some or all of your classes online. As I said, we care about your health and safety, and we know that different people have different concerns.
All right, another access question, and this is specifically, but you've mentioned some areas that students will be allowed to go in and study, and this is asking about other areas, the allied health building or emerging tech. Are there multiple places on campus where students can go between classes? What is the guidance on that type of activity?
So a lot of those areas are not available. And that really is for us to try to, one, limit the number of individuals that are on campus at any given time to try to keep down, the possibility of exposure. So specifically, you asked about the Allied Health lobby. No, that is currently closed. The Emerging Technology lobby, that has also been roped off so that, we can't have that congregating of individuals. So there are some places like, Kate had referenced, the library has some limited space, the student center has some limited space, but generally speaking, we're encouraging, students to come to campus if you have an on-campus class, do your coursework, and then exit campus, if you don't need to be here, don't linger and hang around.
I think that's the bulk of the questions right now. I'll be looking through some more just to make sure and come back to me later. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. So this question, Kate, I'm going to send over to you, and it pertains a little bit about the locations that are available in between classes. So are there computer labs available to use on campus, and where are those computer labs, Kate? And what about Wi-Fi locations?
Okay, sorry, I was muted. Okay, at the moment we have 2 open labs. One in the library, which is located on the second floor of the Matheson Learning Center. And then we have one in the Emerging Technology building, also on the second floor. Both of those have between, I think it's between 11 and 18 open computers. Now, when it comes to Wi-Fi, we have Wi-Fi available throughout campus. In fact, some of our signals are strong enough to make it outside into some of our parking lots. We are continuing to take a look to try to boost up the Wi-Fi here on campus. So there's lots of options.
Great. Perfect. Thank you. So I do want to remind everybody, if you've just joined us, we have about 10 or 15 minutes left on this stream. If you ask a question today, you are going to be entered into a drawing for a $50 gift card. So you have about 10 or 15 minutes to get that question asked, and we will be drawing for that gift card at the end of this segment. Okay, so the next few questions that I have, Kate, are going to be pertaining to technology and what your needs might be as far as a computer. So this question is, do I have to have a laptop for classes, or can I use my desktop at home?
Okay, you are not required to have a laptop for classes, so a laptop or a desktop is perfectly acceptable in terms of being able to complete your equipment, or excuse me, complete your classes. When it comes to, and this may be a question, I think I may have seen it in the chat. When it comes to what kind of computer that you need, if you go to our frequently asked questions, there is a section that gives the specifics in terms of what type of computer you may need. It's possible to check some items when it comes to the online classes from your phone, but for the most part, you need a computer. So even something like a Chromebook or a MacBook may cause a problem in terms of completing some of the items. From the frequently asked questions in that computer requirements section, it lets you know what you need to ask for if you are purchasing a new computer, or if you have an existing computer, being able to take a look and see, okay, is this one good enough to do my online classes?
Okay, great. And for those of you who are wondering where those FAQs might be, if you go to our homepage, which is westkentucky.kctcs.edu, and if you scroll just a little bit farther down the page, you will see announcements. And there is a hybrid/online classes FAQ. And this page is going to have just lots and lots of information for you if you're curious about your online classes and how those might go. So that is definitely a resource that you want to use. Okay, so we've talked a little bit about what computers you might need. So what about a webcam, Kate? A lot of people might think that they need a webcam to participate in their online classes. Is that something that they're going to need?
Okay. For your classes, maybe, maybe not. But a little earlier I mentioned that KCTCS now has a contract with Proctorio, which allows you to take any exams, any proctored exam in a remote setting. To utilize Proctorio, you do need a webcam because it's going to be monitoring you. So I would go ahead and purchase one if you don't have one already.
Okay. So what about a browser? Is there a recommended browser that you would say that a student needs for an online class?
Okay. Browsers are free to download, so I strongly encourage you to use Chrome. Google Chrome seems to be the one that works the best with Blackboard and also a number of our publisher materials. It also works well with Proctorio.
Okay. How about internet speed?
Oh, Mary Beth, you're asking me to get deep into my geek roots here in terms of the internet speed. What I'm going to do is, instead of listing out a whole bunch of specifications, I'm going to point people to that FAQ again for those specifications, but I do want to give a little bit of a heads up. In the spring semester, we had a number of students that were using mobile hotspots to try to get to some of our materials. Mobile hotspots work great when trying to get into Blackboard, but some of our students had difficulty utilizing the speeds that go along with a mobile hotspot to get to some of our videos and our interactive activities. So keep that in mind.
Great. And also pertaining to that FAQ page, I know that somebody from West Kentucky has put the link to that FAQ page in the chat, and that is just a terrific resource.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So can we use the campus tutors via Zoom or those taking classes online?
Absolutely. All of our wraparound services, tutoring, the library, career services, just as 3 examples, are available remotely. We're ready to support on-campus, hybrid, and online students.
So what if a student were to be having trouble with an online class? Who should they contact?
Okay. I recommend that you contact your instructor because they may be able to troubleshoot some of those small issues, and it may have something to do with their specific class or the publisher that they're using. But you can always reach out to West Kentucky Online, and I believe I gave someone in the chat the email for that. But it's wkctc.online@kctcs.edu, or you can reach out to me, catherine.sen@kctcs.edu. I know that one was put into the chat, so we're here to help.
Terrific. Thank you so much. So I'm going to go over to Octavia really quick. So Octavia, if a student is just joining us or a potential student, is there still time to register for classes even though they begin next week?
Yes, there's time for that. We also have classes, just to keep on you all, that we do have classes that start after the 17th. So it is not too late to register for classes, work with an advisor so that we can help you with your academic plan.
Thank you, Octavia. And the very last question that I have on my end is going to be for Bridget. And is there a place where I can get more information about the college's safety plan?
Yes, there is. So if you go to the West Kentucky website and clear there up at the top, and you click on that link that's underlined where it says about COVID-19, it will take you to our Healthy at WKCTC webpage. And this page really has lots of resources for students, employees, the public. That link right there, that Our Healthy at WKCTC plan, That actually walks you through. There have been multiple phases that the college has undergone since March, underneath the different directives that have come down from the governor's office. And that plan walks you through what the timeframes of those have been, as well as the different things that have been put into place. And then if you scroll down farther, those are where the different tabs are. So as a student, you can click on any of the tiles that are down here with regards to frequently asked questions, online resources. So there's just a plethora of information out there on this Healthy at WKCTC website. And I would encourage you all to go out there, look at the resources that are there. And again, if you have additional questions, to certainly reach out to us here at the college.
Perfect. Okay, so Tom, I'm going to bring it over to you one last time to see if there are any questions out there that we've missed or anything additional that we need to talk about.
Yes, there are a few. One of them has to do with access to campus. Former students, can they come onto campus and study for exams?
So if you're not currently enrolled as a student and you're not an employee of the college, you would fall in the category that we would consider public. And we are encouraging the public not to come onto campus unless you are coming, specifically to enroll for classes.
All right. Question about student workers. So this is a new one. When do they come back, and how will their jobs be determined, and will they get the same hours? Anybody on our panel work with the student workers?
So student workers, yes, are eligible to return on the 17th when classes resume. However, you're going to need to talk to the financial aid office because we are limited in our staffing abilities on campus. So with regards to placement and all of those sorts of things, you'll need to work through the financial aid office.
I think Kate mentioned this earlier, but we have a question about how do you read your schedule, and how do you know if your classes are in person or virtual?
Okay. Yes, and excuse me, in fact, that was a question that I had highlighted to make sure that we circled back to. You should know, you should be hearing from your faculty this week. So check your email on a regular basis. If you have not heard from your faculty member by Thursday afternoon, feel free to reach out to me and I can help you out. Excuse me.
All right, thank you, Kate. And this is a question that we've had on campus before. What happens if somebody refuses to wear their mask?
So I'll be glad to take that one. In terms of, this is what we talked about before with the student code of conduct, which speaks to requirements that we have on campus for our students and to protect the safety and health of our students, faculty, and staff. And so with that in mind, if a student is intentional about not wearing a mask, we would talk to that student about disciplinary action, and there's a process that we would have to go through in order to carry that out. But it is our hope that students will understand why we have the requirements in place and will work with us to make sure that they follow those requirements. And then if a student does have a medical documentation and has a medical disability, we will work with them to find reasonable accommodations for us and for the institution. So we are willing to work with you, but if there is someone who does that, then we would have to work through the disciplinary action.
All right, thank you. And I hope I didn't miss any. Just a quick question here from Tiffany. What's the maximum number of students that can be in a classroom? I'm thinking classroom, not class.
And that's going to vary just depending on the location of the class. So every classroom has been gone into, and has been measured out in terms of what the maximum capacity can be, providing for social distancing. And that capacity has been posted outside of every room. And then the class schedule in terms of how academics has determined what classes will meet in what classrooms has been determined based upon that capacity, that maximum capacity. So it's going to vary from classroom to classroom, but in each classroom, there will be social distancing.
That's all the questions in the chat that I have right now.
Okay. Thank you so much, Tom. So I'm going to open it up to everyone on the panel. Does anybody have any closing remarks, or does anybody want to say anything maybe that was not brought up?
So let me add closing remarks as I open remarks. One, again, to the parents and new students who may be still weighing whether to engage. Hopefully you've heard from the conversation today that there's still time to register for those classes that begin on Monday, August 17th. We have additional start dates for other students, so you can engage with our advisors who will be able to talk you through in terms of those start dates. Big part of the conversation revolved around safety. We cannot guarantee safety, but we can absolutely guarantee our steps, planning and preparations that we have put into place, which you've heard. It is important, again, that if you follow the big three: wearing your mask, social distancing, and washing your hands frequently, in addition to the cleaning PPEs that will be available at various stations and in classrooms utilize, keeps us all a lot safer. It is also important that we continue to communicate and update you, certainly as situations and conditions may change. So as mentioned on our website, there is COVID-related information and an FAQ there. You'll be receiving a weekly update from me regarding, again, updates with COVID-19 and those sort of things as mentioned. And certainly through general communications, we always do, as needed, we will be in contact and in communication. Last and certainly not least, we also realize that for some students, they may be considering, because of COVID-19, to take maybe a gap year. So we definitely want to encourage you to, and parents to rethink that. This is a great opportunity at West Kentucky Community Technical College within our three opportunity approach: face-to-face, online, and hybrid, for you to, if you will, bridge that gap so that you'll be in a position to continue your education, whether it's transferring and or coming in person to here at the college with regards to training, getting directly into the workforce, and thus and so forth. So again, on behalf of the team here at the college, we are excited that you've engaged us in person. Spread the word. Call as many people as you know who are part of the Facebook family about the great opportunities that we have here at West Kentucky Community Technical College. With that, I will toss it back to Mary Beth.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Reece. So that is going to wrap up our segment of WKCTC Live for today. But before we go, we are going to draw for the winner of the gift card, and I believe that Kathy is going to be putting that in the chat any minute. So that is super exciting, and thank you to everybody who asked a question today and who participated in the live chat. So the winner of the $50 gift card today is going to be Briley Scott. So Briley, if you will just contact Kathy, and there is Kathy's email. It's kathy.mchaney@kctcs.edu, and you can figure out how to pick up your gift card with her.
Restarted. About 38% of Louisville's working age.
Not sure what that is. You guys might need to mute your mics. Okay, so again, guys, there is still time to register for fall classes. To schedule an in-person or online appointment with an advisor, you can contact the Advising Center at 270-534-3216, or you can email wkctcadvising@kctcs.edu. If you know someone who needs to see this video segment, just let them know that they can visit the WKCTC Facebook page or the YouTube channel, and they can watch this video at their convenience. Thank you all again, and we're super excited to see you guys on Monday. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.